There was a story. I don't know if the story is true. The point of the story is certainly true. The story is that there was a tzaddik who was a contemporary, if you will. It was of the Alter Rebbe, at the same time, both students of the Mizitcha Maggid. And he felt that the Alter Rebbe was doing something different than all the other students of the Maggid. He felt that his way was different. So he asked the Alter Rebbe, what's the difference between you and us? You're different. What is this? So Alter Rebbe gave him the following parable. This is the way the story goes. Whether it's true or not, I think the point is true. Alter Rebbe said to him that you could have a flock of sheep that's protected by a very faithful shepherd. And the shepherd will do whatever he can to protect those sheep. But if a wolf manages to get past the shepherd and to sink his teeth into the neck of a sheep, then it's over. And it's over. Can't do anything. But then there is another kind of shepherd that even after the wolf has sunk his teeth into the sheep's neck, he will fight and do everything he can to pry the teeth of the wolf off the sheep. That's what the Alter Rebbe said. It sounds like that the Alter Rebbe was saying was that there's a certain love that he has for every Jew, and will help a Jew no matter what, even if the Yetzer Hara has put his teeth into someone's neck, and that's what it sounds like. But it's unlikely that's the meaning, because the other tzaddik also is a tzaddik, also has love. So what it probably means is that the path of Chassidus Chabad, of the Chabad way of Chabad school of Chassidus, is a path in serving Hashem. It's a path in serving Hashem in every level. It means it doesn't matter what level you're on. There's still something that still a way to get back home. There's always a road. There's always a road to go back home. I mean, as a Jew, we have a part of ourselves which is always connected to Hashem. There's a part of ourselves which never left, which is always innocent, never can get contaminated. That's for sure there. But there's also a unique path in serving Hashem, which is a road. In other words, you can go without roads too, because you're Jewish. You're one with Hashem. There's also a beaten path as well. What is that beaten path? The sphira of today of Lag is Hoid Sheba Hoid. What does Hoid Sheba Hoid mean? In Borough Park, other Hasidic communities have the custom not to say any tachnun the whole week of Hoid. Well, while we're doing the week of Hoid, they don't say tachnun. You ever heard this custom before? No. The whole week of Hoid, they don't say tachnun. Why not? I think the reason is probably because the Zohar says that from the day of Pesach Sheni, in the whole week of Hoid, the doors of heaven are open to ask for anything. That's probably why they don't say tachnun. I'm not sure. But there's something about Hoid which is unique in bringing us home when we're not there yet. What is Hoid about? Hoid is the sphira of submitting yourself, of submission. Despite the fact that you don't understand why something is true, you don't feel that it's true, but you're able to submit yourself and say, and to have a conviction that this is the truth anyways. And the word conviction, I don't mean an emotional conviction. I just mean a recognition that this is the truth and going after the truth. You showed up? No way. You here? Ah. So that's what Hoid is. In Hoid itself, there are different spheres within Hoid. Every sphere has 10 spheres within it. So the sphere of Hoid has also three different ways a person could arrive at this recognition of the truth. Hoid means submission. It's a power in our souls to submit ourselves to the truth. That's Hoid. So there is a it says if you suspect someone, you have to give them a blessing. I told them there's no way you're going to come today. So I give you a bracha. Baruch Hashem, damn game. So Reb Zev, usually the damn game earns a screen opener in the previous days. Give us a little. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Reb Zev. So So you could acknowledge the truth. You could say, you could recognize the truth because your mind tells you that there are things that you don't know. Your mind could say to you, there are things I know and things I don't know. So your chachma, bina v'das, your intellect could tell you, you need to submit yourself. You need to submit yourself because this is just the right thing. This is the truth. Then there is an emotional kind of feeling where you feel that something is true. You feel there is a truth. You don't have a lot. It's not that you are in a state of chesed and a connection to Hashem where you feel divine providence and you feel closeness, but you just feel that this desire, this attraction to the truth. You want the truth. You have a feeling for the truth. There's an emotional excitement in you for truth. That's chesed of hod, gvura of hod. Then there's another kind of experience. Think about like someone who you consider you consider them to be more intelligent than you. You consider them to know more than you. So even though you may not have the same conviction as them, you have different opinion to them, but because they believe something that makes you feel like there must be something there that more than meets the eye. There must be something else that you didn't notice. So that's sort of like Hoyt Shabbat, where you're not face to face with the truth, but you know you're supposed to acknowledge the truth. My grandfather, Befogel Nol V'Shalom, he was in New York, as I was, by the Rebbe's funeral. After Rebbe's funeral, all the Chassidim gathered in 770, and my uncles were talking with my grandfather and other friends about the what had just happened, and they were talking about like different questions that they had based upon what they learned in Chassidus about how it says in the Chassidus that. It says in the Torah that tzaddik is the foundation of the world. There has to always be a tzaddik to sustain the world. The world cannot exist without the tzaddik of the generation. So how could the world exist? The tzaddik isn't. That's the discussion was revolving around. They didn't have the benefit of looking at things 30 years later and seeing how all the Rebbe's blessings and miracles and wonders continued in an exponential way. They were just there, the night after Gimel Tam, the night after the funeral, and thinking, what now? What's going to happen now? Where do we go? So my grandfather was there, and they're asking him. He's an older chassid. He wasn't a spring chicken anymore. He was a seasoned chassid. They expected him to have some insight. He said, "I don't know the answer, but there is an answer. I don't know the answer, but there is an answer." And then he gets up and he drives back to Worcester, Massachusetts, where the Rebbe had sent him, or the previous Rebbe had sent him, and he served there for over 70 years. But I like the response that he gave. I don't know the answer, but there is an answer. I think that's Hoyt Shabbat. Hoyt Shabbat is where you say you don't know why this is the emes, you know why this is true, but you know there is a truth. You can't even. It's not like you have intellectual appreciation of the things you don't know. It's not that you have an emotional appreciation. You want something but just like you're supposed to acknowledge the truth. There is a truth.
Okay, you're talking about right after the Rebbe
passed
away, and he was being buried. Okay, so there's no more future leader. The Rebbe's gone. So what's going to be? Is that what you're
that's how they felt. Yeah, that's how they felt.
Yeah, we all did.
So they didn't have the benefit of looking at what we've seen, the exponential growth of the Rebbe's work, and to seeing how the shepherd hasn't left his sheep, and that there's some. So continuing on this theme, in the sikh that we're learning from Tafshin Yud, the Rebbe quotes the previous Rebbe, who said in 1941 on Lag BaOmer, the Lag BaOmer is actually not the sphere of Hod, it's a sphere of Teferes. Teferes is actually the exact opposite of Hod. Teferes is about revelation, about God's beauty, about the greatness of Hashem, which is expressed in a way that you could feel it. And he said, the previous Rebbe said that there's two ways to count the sphere Sa'imer. You can count from below to above or above to below. So we count in our sphere that we counted since Passover, we count the sphere from above to below. And therefore we're up towards the end, we're at the Hoyt Shabbat. But if you counted, according to another opinion in Kabbalah, from below to above, today is actually not Hoyt Shabbat. Today is Teferes Shabbat Teferes. Okay, good question. What does that mean? So one thing it means, I'll tell you one thing. The Rebbe Marash, the fourth Rebbe of Chabad, his birthday is on Tiferes Shabbat Tiferes. He once was examined by his teacher, give him a test in front of his father. And he did so amazingly well that his teacher says to his father, this guy's good, isn't he? So the Rebbe said, this father said, what's the big deal that Tiferes Shabbat Tiferes does good? In other words, you know who this guy is. You want to tell me about my son? My son was born on the day of Tiferes. Of course he does good. Tiferes of Tiferes means beauty of beauty, spiritual beauty, of course. Of course it's good. So which one is it? Is Tiferes Shabbat Tiferes, or is today Hoyd Shabbat? And what's the meaning of them both being on the same day? So if you look at the two orders of the spheres, above to below or below to above, above to below means looking at the service of Hashem from the perspective of revelation, the perspective of logic, the perspective of what makes sense, the perspective of what you understand. Then there's another way of serving Hashem from below to above, which means serving Hashem just because Hashem said so, without using your intelligence, without using your feelings, just focusing on what Hashem wants. Those are the two orders, above to below, because it makes sense and it feels good, because you feel Hashem's presence in your life. That's one way of the order of the spheres. Other way is below to above. You're just trying to hold yourself, pick yourself up with your bootstraps. Trying to hoist yourself up with your own efforts. So بعומer has two different meanings. From the perspective of above to below, it's Hoyd Shabbat. From the perspective of below to above, it's Tiferes Shabbat Tiferes. When you're serving Hashem in a way of Kabbalah Sale, which means I just want to do what Hashem wants me to do. I just want to push my mind aside, do what Hashem wants me to do. That's how you're able to reach the level of beauty. In other words, the key to getting to the place of Tiferes, how can I arrive at that place of revelation, that place where things make sense, where I feel good at what I'm doing and how I see all the dots connect? The way to get there is by having this sense of Hoyd Shabbat. In other words, let me start over again. Hoyd Shabbat is about serving Hashem. There must be an answer. I don't understand, but there must be an answer. That's Hoyd Shabbat. I think everyone feels that way today, thinking about what happened in Meron. Hoyd Shabbat. You can't, anything you say about it, it just doesn't make any sense.
So in other words, you just kind of accept it.
Right. Like Aaron did on the day that the Mishkan was inaugurated. So there was a great revelation of Hashem, and his children died on that day. His children were consumed by fire of Hashem the same day of everyone celebrating revelation and everyone's praising Hashem, and his children died that day. So the Torah says about Aaron, he was silent. So there's nothing that we need to do except for be silent and acknowledge that there are things beyond our understanding and believe that whatever Hashem does must be good, even though we can't see that it's good. That's what Hashem wants us.
Including the sacrificing Pesach of the goats and the lambs, whatever. Sprinkling of blood on the altar. Just accept it for what it is.
The idea is that Hoyd Shabbat means you submit yourself, that this is the truth, and there is a truth, you can't intellectually. That's the key to get towards Tiferes Shabbat Tiferes. There are those who are in a zone of like zippity doodah. There are those in the zone of like everything is good. They see how everything is good. And then there are people which are just beginning their first step of serving Hashem, trying to put one foot in front of the other. So if you serve Hashem with this sense of I need to put one foot in front of the other, even though I don't understand why this is the right path, and you put one foot in front of the other, do what Hashem wants you to do, even though you're not there yet, that's how you arrive at Tiferes of Tiferes. So that's how Hoyd Shabbat Hoyd and Tiferes of Tiferes connect. The key to get to Tiferes of Tiferes, which is revelation, which is beauty, is with submission. Let me say it in English. Submission brings to beauty. Shabbat Tiferes. So the Rebbe is saying this talk that we're learning now, right after the passing of the previous Rebbe. And he says like this: there are things that the Rebbe has given us. There are things there are special blessings that the Rebbe has brought the Jewish people. He's brought us beauty, Tiferes of Tiferes. But to receive from the Rebbe, to receive what the Rebbe wants to give us, the first step is hoit shebahoit. First step is that there's a truth in the show up. The Rebbe Groner, the Rebbe's secretary, he once said that the Rebbe said about himself that in previous generations, the tzaddikim of different generations, they would try to channel different things from on high, and there wasn't as much given. But now the Rebbe says it's being given. There's a lot that Hashem is giving, different abilities that we're being given that weren't given in previous generations. We have different challenges the previous generations didn't have. The previous Rebbe put it this way. He said that Hashem could have made the world in a way where the Torah was spiritual, mitzvahs were spiritual, we didn't have bodies, we didn't have Yetzer Hara. Everything could have been really, really beautiful. But Hashem specifically dafka. Dafka means? Yeah. My principal, my English principal in here in Los Angeles, he says, you know what you are? He told me, you're a dafkanik. A dafkanik means someone who specifically and deliberately does something to spite. But this, in regarding Hashem, we don't mean to spite, but it means Hashem could have made a world where everything is rosy and dandy, everything's obvious, but he specifically made things in a way where there's a challenge. He specifically brought the Torah and mitzvahs to be in the physical, and the souls to be in bodies. And he brought us to be in a world where things aren't as obvious as they could have been. That's his desire. We don't know why, but Hashem's desire is he wants a home in the lowest realm, and in the lowest realm itself, he wants things to be in a very specific dafka this way, not any other way, and that's how his desire is fulfilled. We don't know why, but we have to begin to serve Hashem in the language of the Rebbe in this talk by not to be afraid to put a finger into cold water. There are special strengths that Hashem gives our generation because of the challenges that we have that generations before us didn't have. And because of that, I mean, I see my children, they have challenges that I never had. They have every Yetzer Hara at their fingertips,
as you know, currently right now, it's 45 people passed, and that's Ma.
So we can't be afraid to put our finger into cold water. That's the bottom line. Hashem gives us special strength, even though we may not be deserving of getting the strength. But our generation was chosen for the task at hand, to bring Mashiach. And there's different kinds of darkness we have to contend with. But Hashem gives us special strength that was never given before. And the key is not to be afraid to put a finger into cold water. When I was as a counselor in camp in Montreal, so I used to think about this every morning because the mikveh was freezing cold. Baruch Hashem, they just opened the mikveh over here in LA and on Pico. But going in that mikveh every morning was really hard because it was freezing. Freezing water. Sometimes. It doesn't agree because he says it wasn't so cold sometimes. That's true. Sundays it wasn't so bad. Sundays it was freezing though. And you had to not be afraid of everything. Don't be afraid to put a finger at the cold water. Don't be afraid of starting something. Don't be afraid of getting involved. All right, but it starts with a finger. So there are, in order to connect with the strength, the Rebbe Goner said, the Rebbe says people are that Hashem is pouring onto us. All you need to do is put a vessel to hold on to it. Putting that vessel out there means to put a finger into cold water and to start doing something. When the Jewish people left Egypt, they left Egypt without any specific effort on their part that could have possibly triggered a great revelation that God gave us. But after the Torah was given, Hashem made a new order that everything he's going to give us from on high, every gift that God will give us, requires us to make effort. There's nothing that comes down from heaven without us making an effort. There was a famous story in the Talmud about Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa. He wanted to give a gift to build a temple. He had this beautiful, huge diamond that he wanted to bring to Jerusalem. I don't know if it was a diamond, a big stone, a beautiful stone. He wanted to bring it to Jerusalem. But how could he carry a stone by himself? It's huge. And to carry it all the way to Jerusalem. So all of a sudden, as soon as he decided he wants to do this, what happened? All of a sudden, angels appeared. I'm like, hey, you want to bring a stone to Jerusalem? Yeah, how'd you guys know, right? They said, we'll do that. But there's one thing. You got to put your hand and your finger with us. Put a finger down. You can't just expect us to do it for you. You got to put your hand down. So he put his hand down. He put his fingers down under the stone, and immediately, where were they? Immediately, they were in Jerusalem. So too, in regards to this subject that we're discussing, we have to have the Hoyd Shabahoyd. The Hoyd Shabahoyd means that we're going to put our hand down and make a move forward and do what Hashem wants us to do. And that will connect us to the special gifts that the tzaddik channels down to our generation. The special koich, special strength that Hashem decides that He wants to give us because of what we need to accomplish. To get involved, to connect to that, you have to put your hands. But to put your hand there, you know what you need to do to put your hand out there? You need to say there's a truth, and there must be an answer. That's the key to connect to that energy. The Mittler Rebbe on Lag Ba'omer would go out in the field and he would do lots of miracles. He would give blessings to people for all kinds of things, especially for people to have children. And in other times, people would ask him for a blessing for children, and he would not necessarily give the blessing himself. He would send people to go to his brother to ask for a blessing. But on Lag Ba'omer, he'd go out in the field, and he would accept the request himself, and he would bless everyone with children. It was a miraculous day. Why? So Chassidus talks about in the month of El before Rosh Hashanah, it's a time when the king is in the field. King is in the field, and therefore Hashem is there, so to speak. It's like a king comes to a field, he's open, he smiles at everybody, he wants people to talk to him. He's out there ready to hear everyone's requests. So to before Rosh Hashanah, the king is in the field, Hashem greets everybody. So when he's in the palace, he's on a higher level. He's there with his crown, he's there with his royal robes. But the advantage of the field is he's not wearing the royal robes, he's accessible. Everyone can talk to him. Because he's not shining, you don't need to, in order to get the revelation of the king, you have to go into the palace. In order to get for everybody to see him, he goes in the field. So the month of El is a time of revelation. So to the Mittler Rebbe will go out in the field Lag Ba'omer. What does that mean? There is in general, Lag Ba'omer, as we learned yesterday, the word lag in Hebrew is related to the word gal, which means a separation. There is a separation between the realm of holiness and the realm of the opposite. So the field is in general associated with a lower place. It's not the realm of holiness, it's a place which is outside the realm of holiness. And there needs to be a mound of stones, like we went about yesterday, to separate between the holy and the unholy. So that's why when he was in the field, he'd made these miracles. In other words, his personal stature was not about, it says when he passed away, parenthetically, he says that his passing was very similar to the Rashbi's passing. He was saying Torah the whole night. And when he got up to the word Chaim, as he was saying the words of Torah, just like Hashem Bar Yochai, he passed away, Mittler Rebbe. He has a unique connection with the Hashem Bar Yochai. But so his idea of being involved with the world, connected with the world, giving blessings was something very unique. But just like when the king goes out to the field, he's able, at that time, he gives different kinds of blessings. He gives different kinds of accessibility to people that's different in the palace. So too, the Mittler Rebbe, he would go out into the field, meaning he would go out into a place which is not the realm of holiness, not his personal realm of holiness, not the synagogue, not Gan Eden. He would go out to connect with people and to give them blessings on their level. So a similar thing happened when the previous Rebbe came to America. It says about Yaakov, that when Yaakov went to Egypt, he went to Egypt. He was forced, so to speak, to go to Egypt because God wanted him to go to Egypt. Now, he certainly wanted to go to do what God wanted him to do, but since going to Egypt was a spiritual descent, it's considered a coercion. Because who wants to go to a place which is unfriendly, right? So Yaakov going to Egypt, Hashem wanted him to go there, but it's considered it's considered like he was forced to go there because it's not a holy place. So to the previous Rebbe had to come to America. In America, that's where the exponential growth of Torah and Yiddishkeit and Hasidus began. But it's still a descent comparison to the way Judaism was in Europe. And therefore it's considered, so to speak, a coercion. It's considered to be forced. But the reason why he came here is for there to be children. Just like the Mittler Rebbe gave a blessing for people to have children on their Lag Ba'omer. When he went out in the field, he went down to the level of people and to hear them and to give them blessings. It's a special time of revelation and blessing. So to the Frierdiker Rebbe came to America, that's like coming to the field. And it's called a field because it's a place of it's America. It's not the place of, it's like it says Esav was a man of the field. So America is a place of the field. Why did he come to America? He came to America in order that there should be Banim Scharim Chassidim, which means that there should be people who are able to go with sacrifice to do what Hashem wants them to do, even though it may be hard for them. It says about a chassid, the title, the Gemara says, who is a chassid? A chassid is someone who will hurt himself in order to help someone else. The Gemara says that there's 3 ways of getting rid of your nails. You could throw them on the ground, that's a rasha. You could bury them, that's a tzaddik. And you could burn them. So burn them, a chassid burns them. Why would a rasha throw them on the floor? Because it says in Gemara that nails have this unique. Why nails have this thing in them is not important for right now. But it says that if a pregnant woman walks on a nail, that could cause her, God forbid, to miscarry. So a rasha doesn't care about that. A tzaddik cares and he buries them. They won't burn them. When you bury them, they could be eventually uncovered. But have some coffee. It's kosher. You don't eat kosher. All right, whatever. Everyone their own way. But a chassid will burn his nails, even though it says when you burn a part of your body, it doesn't bring blessing to you. But a chassid will burn his nails. Why? Because he doesn't want there even to be a chance of anyone getting hurt. So he'll do something which hurts himself to help. It says more, yeah. Yeah. I'll show you. It's customary as well today to burn nails. People burn them, people throw them. We shouldn't throw them on the floor, that's for sure. Okay, so just like the previous Rebbe, he wanted to raise a generation, he came to America, that there should be Hasidim, there should be people dedicated to what Hashem wants him to do with sacrifice. Just like the Mittler Rebbe went out to the field in order to give, that there should be a birth of new Hasidim, there should be new children. So the Frierdiker Rebbe came to America, so there should be, people should be able to be dedicated to Hashem's intent. So we have to learn something from this. It's not so easy to go out into a city to conquer a city. And a person might say, how can I go and make an impact? And it seems everyone, in the city, it may seem like there's no one even to talk to. But just like the previous Rebbe went to America because Hashem told him to go there, even though it's a descent, so too, we have to learn from the Rebbe, the previous Rebbe, the Rebbe says, that think about how I was talking to the Hasidim who had all seen the previous Rebbe right after his passing. Think about how the Rebbe smiled to you and he took care of you, even though you weren't such a tzaddik. So you're saying, I don't want to go talk to other people who never heard of Hasidus, never heard of the Rebbe, because I don't want to, they're not on my level. So if the Rebbe didn't look for easy things for himself, and he went with sacrifice, so too he asks from us as well to have sacrifice, to put ourselves on the side to help other people, spiritually especially. So that's the idea of Hoyt Shabahoyt. Hoyt Shabahoyt means that there's a mission. You got to be part of the mission. There's a truth. We don't have all the answers, and by putting ourselves on the side, it helps you personally. When you use your own efforts to accomplish things, so it's not certain that you'll be successful. Not certain that you'll get to the truth. You might learn one Hasidic discourse for many hours, but not really get it. But you're doing what the Rebbe wants you to do, what the Rebbe's mission is, for sure you get to the truth, because you're not going with your own power, you're going with the power of the Rebbe. So there are people who haven't put on tefillin in many years, and they were saying about events that actually happened in the time of the previous Rebbe's lifetime. I'll just conclude with this. It's already time for Daven Shachris. They never put on tefillin, and they saw the previous Rebbe eating matzah, and all of a sudden they started to believe in Hashem. It changed them. So it's possible also that you're learning Chassidus and doesn't affect you. When all of a sudden you take upon this mission, I want to do what the Rebbe wants me to do, all of a sudden it's like seeing, just like people saw the Rebbe eating matzah and that changed them. So when a person decides he wants to be part of the mission of what the Rebbe wants him to accomplish, he gets additional strength. Besides the fact that the very fact that you're going to do kindness, that opens the doors for you as the famous story that Tzemach Tzedek, that he used to see the Alter Rebbe after his passing every day, ask him questions. And one day, it was a few weeks already, he hadn't seen his grandfather after his passing. And someone needed a loan. And he told the guy, I'll give you the loan after I finish davening. But he realized as he's about to begin davening, the guy needs a loan now because he has to go to the marketplace to buy whatever he's going to buy to sell what he wants to sell. So he's about to begin davening. He's like, what am I doing? This guy needs a loan right now. So he left the shul. He found the guy, gave him the loan. He wanted to go put on his talis, and all of a sudden, he saw his grandfather again, after he hadn't seen him for quite some time. So in the same way, when we go to try to help people, try to do what the mission of the Rebbe is, that connects us to Tiferes. We try to focus on what the truth is, what Hashem wants us to accomplish, even though it's to put one foot in front of the other and drag your feet to do it because you don't feel it yet. But when you go and do that, you're able to, the truth of Chassidus resonates on a different level when you embrace what the mission of Hashem is for us. Thank you.